Does anyone still care about Austin Theory at this point? For a guy who's only 25 years old, Austin Theory already has an insane resume. A two-time United States champion, Money in the Bank winner, and on top of all of that, he has a win over John freaking Cena on WrestleMania of all places. What Austin Theory has accomplished so far is something most wrestlers would never even get a sniff of in their entire careers. So how then can someone struggle to maintain relevance on a company who has all but guaranteed his success in the future? And when will WWE take a hard look in the mirror and admit that Austin Theory may not be the future of the business? It's no secret that Theory is one of Vince's quote-unquote golden boys, and as lucrative of a prospect that might seem, being the boss's handpicked guy is also a double-edged sword. On one hand, you're getting the nod from the single most important person you'd want to get approval from. On the other, that person also happens to be a fickle old man who can just as quickly lose interest in you in short notice. Just look at Drew McIntyre's first run in the WWE. He went from being the chosen one to playing fake air guitar in a fake band gimmick. Other times, Vince just likes to shove down his guy to our throats that we end up regurgitating said guy and start violently thrusting our fingers in the air while chanting yes in protest. In Austin Theory's case, I guess we'll never know how his career would end up under Vince's regime since Triple H took over the helm last year. But whether Vince or Triple H is in charge, it's no denying that WWE clearly saw him as a blue chip prospect right from the start. Debuting on the black and gold brand at the start of 2020, he worked a few matches before finding himself on the main roster at the onset of the pandemic era. His first run was mostly spent around the tag division, though he did get a tag team title match at WrestleMania, so that's something. Around the latter half of 2020, Theory got sent back down to NXT, which wasn't really explained why, but my guess is that he needed more time to grow as a performer and to develop a character, and that he did. I honestly think some of his best character work came during his time with Johnny Gargano in The Way. Though he was mostly a goofball, the segments involving him were very entertaining. He even got to recreate that classic Triple H segment years ago.
Those are huge.
Theory's progress in developmental was seen as good enough that he got called up on the main roster again in late 2021. But if I'm being honest, it might have been a bit too soon, as we'll get to why later on. If you enjoyed the video so far, why not give it a like and subscribe? It only takes 1 second and it helps the channel a lot. Overnight, his character almost did a 180. Suddenly, he's now a selfie-loving, entitled prick who can't help but flex on the camera. The gimmick still didn't allow him to be taken more seriously, but nonetheless, he quickly ascended to the ranks thanks in large part to Vince McMahon. Overpushed is the word that comes to mind during this time. He was getting victories over guys like Rey Mysterio and Finn Balor, even going over Kevin Owens for a spot at Elimination Chamber. I mean, the guy was gifted a WWE title match just because he happened to return Vince's missing egg, which he stole in the first place. Yup, post WrestleMania 38 is when things started to get really ridiculous. He won the US title in a match he didn't earn and lost it at Money in the Bank, only to be handed the Money in the Bank ladder match opportunity that he also didn't earn, and even got booked to win the whole damn thing. Now, this questionable booking decision poses 3 problems. 1. Holding the briefcase this early into his career is just too fast and too soon. Fans really haven't bought in yet to the idea, or should I say the theory, of Austin Theory being in the main event picture. He should have kept the US title for a bit longer while building credibility through the mid-card scene. And because of that, number 2, no one saw Austin Theory as a legitimate threat to Roman's titles, as seen with how he was treated as a joke every time he attempted to cash in. Number 3 is more of an unforeseen circumstance, but nonetheless, it affected Theory's status in the company. When Vince was forced to step down and Triple H became the new head of creative, suddenly, the new Mr. Money in the Bank started to unravel. He started losing more matches, and even though he has the briefcase, he just felt less relevant. The selfie gimmick didn't have much legs to begin with, but now without the preferential booking, Theory's lack of character depth just got more exposed. Kevin Owens even tore through the guy in one promo, basically calling him generic and dispensable. Winning the Money in the Bank would end up hurting Theory more than it helped him, as it put him in an unwinnable situation, with Daddy not being there anymore to bail him out of this mess. He still had to cash it in at some point though, but what happened next is quite possibly the dumbest Money in the Bank cash-in I've ever seen. Instead of cashing it in on Roman, he chose to do it on Seth's US title instead, and failed. However, this would actually be a ploy from Triple H to sort of rehabilitate Theory with the embarrassing cash-in leading into another shift in character. He ditched the selfish shtick in favor of a more aggressive and ruthless character. Honestly, it was a great move at first. With this unhinged persona, Theory started getting taken more seriously, even getting back the US title over Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. And so everyone clowned on the people who said that Theory is definitely getting buried under Triple H's regime. And yeah, winning the title was definitely a good sign until John Cena happened. In the build-up to the WrestleMania match, John Cena verbally undressed Austin in front of a live audience.
We don't care about you.
The man was made to look like a complete jabroni while taking it all in. This promo is pretty much a summation of everything that's wrong with Austin Theory and the fact that nobody cares about him. The WrestleMania match that followed only made it worse. Cena barely worked and Theory's cheap victory hurt his credibility in ways that he has never recovered since. Fast forward today, he doesn't even feel like the most important guy in his own title matches. I mean, he basically regressed to his old gimmick minus the selfie. Listen, I don't like Cena burying an up-and-coming talent as much as the next guy, but really, is he wrong though? A lot of people have said it before. Austin Theory has the look, he can do a decent promo. Heck, he has all of the talent to be a main event player in the WWE. But somehow, something just doesn't click. Like pieces to a jigsaw puzzle that just won't fit. Sure, you can sort of attribute it to age or lack of tenure, but a lot of guys at the same age have already figured out who they are in this business. Just look at MJF or even Dominic Mysterio. They've been killing it as heels. I wholly believe that the worst reaction you could ever get as a heel is indifference, or WWE having to pipe in fake crowd noises just for you. Even Michael Cole acknowledges this.
The WWE fans are chanting, "This is awesome." Just because they never said that about your matches, but nonetheless.
Look, if Theory can't even make it as a decent heel in the company, how can we expect him to be its face in the future? So how can WWE fix Austin Theory? I think the first step would be losing the United States Championship, preferably to LA Knight. Which I talked about why in this video here. Now I know you might already be asking, how the hell does this help? Again, as I mentioned earlier, what Austin Theory is severely lacking right now is character depth. So what better way to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim his value than to send him back again to NXT for the last time? Give him a complete overhaul, new gimmick, new look perhaps, all that stuff. Make the people care about him. If WWE does it right, I could see Theory being a great NXT champion. So yeah, it's time to give up on Austin Theory. Not the person, but the current persona. So what do you think of Theory? Is he ever gonna figure it out? Sound off in the comments below. Till the next video, peace.